Stress is optional. How is it possible that stress is optional? Today is the topic of this episode. Hello, Susan. How are you?
Hello, Alessandro. I'm great. How are you doing today?
A bit stress. How is it possible? I feel stress. I can choose about stress, but today I feel stressed. No, I'm kidding.
Well, but that's awesome. Let's work on it. You're a good practical example for today.
And actually, it's often what we feel before any kind of performance that we feel a bit stressed. But why we feel stressed? What do you think?
It's a good question. Now I don't feel stressed anymore. And you know why?
Hmm.
Because I feel more secure and I know that I can handle it. But very often I feel stressed when I feel I cannot escape a situation, but it's more than I can handle. When I feel a little bit insecure, oh my God, what will happen? Oh, this will be horrible. Oh, this will be this will be that. I mean, that's usually when I feel stressed.
Uh, that's amazing what you said about thinking that you're sure that you can handle now. Because uh, basically, what you're saying is it comes from experience, it comes from practicing, it comes from living, actually, doing.
Yes, absolutely. But for me, it's not only doing, it's doing and observing myself that I can handle it. And this is making actually me change my conviction. Like before, I was like, oh, I don't know, this is not working. This will not work. I will not be able to do that. But yeah, as you said, like by seeing and realizing, yes, I can, and it's okay. It's not so bad, and it's actually fun, and I like it, and I enjoy it, and I can handle it. This kind of like changed my thought from I can't to yeah, I can do it and I can handle it.
Mhm. Uh, don't you think that most of the time it's also about what we choose to do? Because, for example, now with podcast, we are doing these episodes, and we choose to do these episodes. If somebody else maybe asks you to do the podcast, do you think that you feel more stressed or not?
It depends, I would say. If it would be something I would love to do anyways, yes. But if it's something I wouldn't enjoy, then it would probably be a lot harder for me. Then I would be like, no, I don't really like it. And you know what? Yeah, it's something I have to do. And I think this is also something that there are certain words that are, from my perspective, stresses as such already.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, I have to do something is already something that signals, it's a phrase that signals it's something from outside. I don't feel I want to, it's something I have to. And I wouldn't do if somebody else wouldn't ask me to do it.
Okay, so it's a kind of also to signals that tell you if something is good and can provoke some kind of stress, and something that doesn't provoke stress. These words.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think like let me think more about causes of stress. I mean, I think for me personally, I mean, sure, when I already expect something to be super joyful, chances are very low
Mhm.
that it will cause stress. But when I think it will be horrible or potentially threaten my health, or when I don't know, I can remember like before when I was working long hours on something that I didn't even like, I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be a stressful day.
Mhm.
And that's interesting because it's as such, the tasks are just tasks. But by my interpretation, by saying, oh, I'm gonna do something for 8 hours that I don't like, I have no desire of doing it, but I still push myself to do it, and I do it for 8 hours. I know I will be tired, and all of this like cloud of thoughts is provoking actually my stress. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. I feel that when I was younger, I don't mean that now I don't feel stressed, because I feel, but when I was younger, I felt stress for things that were less important, maybe. And I mean, for example, I really didn't like to do presentations at school. I hate it so much. And this provoked me so much pain inside myself. I could also go in front of everybody with a paper and shaking and feel that it was so so stressed, and I feel the pressure on myself. And sometimes I also start to sweat, and it was very, I don't want to say panicking, but it wasn't, not at all enjoyable. And most of the time also because I connected this presentation to a judgment from other people, from somebody that I have to be, or something that I has to say, something that there is somebody who is looking at me. On the moment, I don't mean that I never feel stressed when I need to talk in public, but it's a healthy stress, because I feel stress in a way that I want to perform and I want to do something good, and I have more clear what I want to give to the people. I have my goal to the people, and I want to be myself. Before I was trying to be somebody else. Now I am totally myself. So I get older, I understand a bit more this part.
Yes. And I think it's also really interesting what you say, because I mean, what you said basically, that you had a certain expectation of the situation, that it would be, oh my God, that you would be shaking, that you would be this and that, and that people would look at you. Another question would be, if you would have imagined the situation as, I don't know, you would have been brilliant and you would shine and people would love you in that situation, would you still have felt stress?
No, of course not. Mm.
And I think that's something that is really, for me, it's impressive about stress. It's really like it comes from ourselves and from our imagination of a certain situation. So, and that's also like, that's why also somebody might feel super stressed on stage. And the next person is just, yay, I can go on stage, I can do this, this is awesome, I will love it. It's just here, it's in our head. I think this is, wow. For me, this is nuts.
And it's great also because from here, it's from our imagination. And so we can also delete the bad part and maybe switch with a good picture. How you said, like shining, very proud of ourselves. And there is this amazing example when I went to public speaking course, and they said, okay, if you feel stressed, why do you feel stressed? Because you know what? I feel judged from the people. I feel that they are observing me. And they said, okay, what if there are, instead of 20 people, there are 20 rats in front of you? How do you feel? I don't give a shit about rats. and you switch your perspective, and you start to feel like the emotions in another way, in a productive way.
Yes, and I think, yeah, we're already talking a lot about solutions. What other solutions do you have in mind? Like, let's say I'm now, I don't know, like my boss is telling me, you know what, you have to do this huge project until yesterday, and if not, I don't know, we will lose $1 million. Super good stress situation. I mean, what would you advise me to do in that situation?
I will focus more on priorities, probably. I believe that we lack in priorities in life, and we should just understand what is our priorities. Our priority, choosing our priorities should be our priority. And because we waste too much time, and understand what should be first, it is very important. Because if we try to do everything, if we try to do a lot of tasks at the same time, we risk to feel much more stressed. Also, for this reason, there is the Eisenhower chart. Do you know it?
Yes.
It's the one that it's for there is important and urgent. So what is important and urgent? What is not important and urgent? What is important but not urgent, and what not important and not urgent? Understand where to put all these tasks help you a lot. Even if you have this big task, just separate in small pieces that can help you to see like what you can do now, step by step.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe what I would even say, maybe first also take a breath. It's something that I notice as well with myself. When I'm stressed, the first thing that I'm starting to hold on to is my breath. I forget breathing. And I mean, I usually really do a breathing exercise just to calm down a bit, because I mean, what is stress doing with us? It's also lowering our concentration levels, and it will make it harder to find a good solution. And I think I do, for example, a technique that is called alternate breathing. So I mean, you can look that up on YouTube or wherever. I mean, to all the ones that are listening, I think it's better if you look it up, because now it's a bit hard to show. But or you can also do it's called like the 4-16-8 technique. So breathing in 4 times, holding your breath 16 times, and then breathing out 8 times. If you do that 10 times, that will
Whoa.
Yes, it's,
so
it's quite
keeping the breath for 16 seconds, something
16,
like
that. Yeah, I do that. I mean, you can do that also, breathing in 2 times, then holding 8 times, and then breathing out 4 times. It's actually 1, then 4 times holding the breath, and then twice breathing out. That's just the basic idea of it. You can do that however you want to. I do 4-16-8. This is a cycle that works well for me. And that brings me down within like 10 repetitions. So it's about a minute, and I'm back to relaxation, actually, basically.
It's impressive how much, this is also a question, how much people undervalue breathing, because so often we don't realize that our emotions change based on how we breathe. So if I feel calm, my breath is maybe more from the belly and deeper. If I feel stress, it's a bit more up from the chest.
Yeah.
And they are very short. So what do you think? How can people realize a bit more where they are breathing?
I think simply closing your eyes and just taking a moment and just observing your breath is a good first step. But to be honest, especially when you're stressed already, I would start right away with a breathing exercise, because sometimes observing the stress can even increase it a little more. So I would do kind of like an SOS exercise to get that down to a lower level first.
So do you think that you need, before to breaking the pattern, and say, okay, let's do this breathing technique and then go next?
Yes, I would really advise that, because stress creates a tunnel and also avoids creative problem solving. So when you're in a stress situation, or when I am also, I mean, it's the same for me. I think it's the same for everybody. I'm just like, I have no idea. Ah, fuck, what's happening? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And it's like, I need to do something, but I feel frozen. I feel,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, it doesn't, for me, it doesn't really help. And then I'm also not really receptive to, okay, how can I think that differently? What can I do? And all this. I'm like, I'm stressed. I don't care.
There is a big chaos here inside.
Yes, it's like, no. So I think that's also something I mean, the problem came from here. So it will be hard to tackle it with the same part where it origins from, right? It comes from the mind, so it will help to go to the body first in order to relax the mind, and then to go back to the mind again. I think this is a good strategy, especially when you are in acute stress, right? With chronic stress, it's a different story, but we're talking about an immediate stress reaction right now.
In fact, I wanted also to mention this one, the chronic stress, because a lot of people like to be stressed, like it's impressive, because they say, yeah, I'm more productive, I'm more this one and that one, but actually not. And we risk a lot when we have stress for a long period, because it starts from mind. But if I feel always stressed, science discovered that we raise our high blood pressure, that our heartbeat faster, and we risk more depression and anxiety, and also you mentioned before, when you're stressed, your brain it's a chaos, and our productivity drop so fast.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the counterproductive thing, that we think when we just pressure ourselves, we get more productive, but the opposite is actually happening. It's as if we want to use the gas pedal of a car, but actually we are using the brakes. When we're stressing ourselves, we're just stopping the car. But we wanted to go faster, what we do the opposite. So yeah, it's not making us more productive. It's just blocking anyways. And that's why I think the first step is really do something that lowers your stress. Anything. I mean, it can be, for me, it's really helpful to have also some kind of an SOS list. So meaning best, like when I'm not stressed, like making a list of things that calm me down super quickly when I'm stressed. So as a first step, saying, okay, this is really something that helps me. I mean, for me, for example, high cardio HIIT training also helps, like really doing some massive exercise that gets my pulse up for at least 20 minutes, half an hour. After that, I also feel better. I don't know. I think everybody has, I don't know, how is it like for you? What's helping you in these situations when you're just like,
When I feel stressed, actually I have more tools. And they are very, very different. Because for example, in some situation, I need to meditation. I really need. And because it helped me to calm and to focus more on my inner voice, inner emotions, and this is very important. But how, as you said, also, for example, sport, it's very, very important. For me, sometimes when I feel stressed, I need to go to the gym to release energy, bad energy. I need to do effort, but physical effort, really physical.
Yes.
So this one, for example, helped me a lot, because if not, I know that I start to feel this negative stress, and there are these kind of alarms in myself that I start to don't think about myself. I start to having a bad self-talk. I start to not taking care about myself. And yeah, these kind of alarms from myself are very, very dangerous. And I see very well that when I feel stressed and not loving me, it's very dangerous.
Yeah. And I think that's also actually a great advice. Make a list of the alarm signals for stress, because I think also the quicker you can detect it, the quicker you can do something about it as well. I think that's the great thing. It's awesome. I mean, for me, it's also, I feel like that in these moments I start to my sleep quality actually goes down. That's a typical signal for me that I'm stressed somehow. I start to rush a lot. I start to forget even more things that I already forget.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm starting to be crazy forgetful and all over the place. So these are typical signals for me to say, okay, now it's time to calm down.
Mm-hmm. What you mentioned, it's a key point, because often we think about, for example, the breathing technique. It's something that we can use in an emergency situation.
Yes.
But we also need to understand that we need to do something daily to keep the stress in a good level. Not too low, not too high. Too low, it's, for example, when I was always the example about a university. When I had an exam, I was the kind of person, kind of student who maybe had 1 month, 2 months to study, and I reached maybe the last 2 weeks, the last week, the last 4 days to start to study, because I feel, yeah, why starting 2 months before? I don't feel this pressure. And so this one is not helpful. This is a low level of stress that is not good. But too high, it's also not good, not healthy, how we said. So we need to understand what are these habits that can be useful for us to keep this kind of balance. From my side, for example, it's very useful to start the day not in a stressful way. I love to have a lot of time in the morning to do everything, even like having breakfast. I love to dedicate maybe 20 minutes, because I like to start my day in a peaceful way. And I feel totally the difference when maybe I need to rush because I'm late. And I start my day like running. I need to brush my teeth. I need to eat something very quickly and drink the coffee, and then and dress, and then go directly to the car. And it takes me a lot of time to calm me down.
Yeah, sure. Oh, definitely. I also think that the beginning of the day already defines how the rest will go, because it sets you in a certain state. But I think for me also it's really important. Two things for me are important also to choose and to say what you're saying, right? To choose that what is my personal sweet spot, saying where it is a challenge or where things that are a challenge, they make me grow, but they do not make me feel overwhelmed. Because I, for example, know that, and I just realized that recently, that a very constantly stressful environment with a lot of time pressure, with a lot of deadlines and so on, this is not my sweet spot anymore. Mm-hmm. This is very hard for me to cope. I mean, I can go into that now and can say, okay, well, if there is like a deadline coming up, as you said, I can use the Eisenhower method. I can say, okay, what can I do about it? Who can help me and so on. So I can use some problem solving strategies, and I could probably build up my resources and learn, for example, time management skills. I mean, this is the other part, right? I can say, I build up my resources so I do not feel stressed anymore, and it's becoming a situation I can cope with well, and I can say, okay, I mean, there is a deadline upcoming, but as I've organized well now, I know how to manage my time and so on. It's not an issue for me anymore. But the other question for me is also, do I want that? Is that something that I choose to do? Is that the type of environment that I would like to have? Is this the kind of stressor I want to grow with? I think this is for me also another part. I don't know. What do you think? I mean,
it was a point that I really wanted to touch before, because we have this kind of stress. It's very important. The other one is stress with deadlines, and then it's the stress about who we are and understanding who we are, and if we are in the place because we want to be there or not. Yeah. And it happened to me a couple of years ago. I was working in insurance, and at some point they asked me to do an exam, and I was studying very hard, and I felt so annoyed about this exam, and I felt stressed about attending this exam. And I start to question myself why I felt in this way. And I understood that I asked myself, okay, Ale, do you see yourself in 5-10 years in this job? And my answer very quickly was no way. No way. And this kind of understanding make me realize that this one was a path I took just for the wrong reason and not because I wanted. So understand who we are, what we want, what is important for us, and start to take this street. It's very important, because if I take another one, I will always feel stressed, because I'm doing for somebody else for a wrong reason or whatever. So this kind of stress, it's crucial to understand.
Yeah, so I captured two great things from that from you right now. I would say, yeah, that from one side, their stress is also like a kind of tension in between what you truly desire and maybe sometimes what we think you should do. That's what I see. And I also see from that actually it's super essential to understand what causes the stress, right? Is it because I want something different? Is it because I'm lacking resources or knowledge right now? And I think this is, from my side, already a first step towards a solution, saying you realize, for example, oh no, this is not the path. And that's why you chose another path, and this like release the tension. Or when you say, oh, I'm super stressed out because I have to speak in front of 1,000 people. the reason can be it's the first time and I have no practice. So maybe the solution can be practice beforehand, to make sure you feel more comfortable in that situation, or. And I think this is, yeah, you said something really beautiful. Thank you.
I feel that it happened a lot of time in my life to feel stress because I act in a way that they should be, instead of being who I was or who I wanted to be. And this difference create a lot of stress in my life. And I think that in a lot of lives, a lot of people create this kind of anxiety, stress, and bad feelings, because when you are not who you want to be, it's painful. It's painful to live in a way that is not you. It's painful to not do what it's meant for you or what you want to do. It's a very painful life in this way.
Yeah, and I think the tricky thing with that is that the stress actually only goes away once you let go of what you should be. Otherwise, it will stick permanently. It will just be there, but it doesn't change the fact that you have the desires that you have. So you will be in a constant like limbo of, shit, I feel tension. I want to let go of the tension. But I also want to hold on to this, what's not me. So, what do I do? Like, maybe I need to let go of something here.
They say that to change, a part of you need to die.
Yes. Yeah.
Even in this situation, it's very important with stress, because stress is also something that we are holding so tight. For example, it happened more than once that I'm a yes person when I need to help somebody. And this one, for a lot of time, stressed me out, because I was always say, yes, I can help you. Can you help me moving out? Yes, no worry, I will come. Can you come and help me with it? Yeah, don't worry. Can you give me some of the, yeah, don't worry. And it was super, super stressful. And I need to learn how to say no in a way that I keep peace in myself. And because before I was more scared about being seen as a bad person, being maybe losing somebody.
Yeah.
But at some point I learned that, okay, saying no to somebody is a very good way to say yes to myself.
Yeah, it's interesting how we are so scared of losing somebody, but not scared of at all of losing ourselves. It's kind of what? That's interesting.
Yeah. It's very interesting. And I believe that we need to learn a bit more to choose our thoughts with stress, because how we start our thought, our imagination, our words, our self-love, it has a very big impact in our emotions, in our stress.
Absolutely. And I think also in today's episode, we gave a lot of tips, a lot of advice on how to use breathing to quiet yourself down as an SOS technique, some ways to actually get yourself back on to feet, how to plan a little bit for stressful moments, how to identify stressors, how to identify alarm signals, and how to see actually that stress is coming from most cases inside ourselves. So that's also a beautiful positive thing, because that means when it's coming from inside ourselves, we have control over it and we can release it. And I think that's awesome.
It's massive. And it will be amazing if people also can tell us what they think. and what they or the technique that you use, or what was an example of painful or successful moment. Because having also experiences from police, and it's magical, can help a lot of people.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Alessandro.
Thank you too. And let's talk about the next episode.
Oh, yes, please. What's it? Tell me.
Should we say, or we keep a surprise this time?
Oh, no, say it. Come on.
Oh, okay.
Do it.
So next episode is about finding happiness and success in our job.
Wow. Great topic. Thank you, Alessandro.
Thank you.